Okay, welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. You know how this works. We grab some interesting source material, dig in, and pull out the really key stuff for you.
Yep, get right to the heart of it.
So today we're diving into a piece by Stefan Pinkwart. It's all about the pretty wild world of poetry slam.
Right.
And it focuses on one particular type of performer and, well, a really crucial insight for actually connecting with an audience.
And just to set the scene, Pinkwart's piece isn't about like gentle rhymes or anything. It gets into the raw, sometimes pretty confrontational side of slam poetry.
Exactly. No polite Sunday afternoon poetry here. So the main figure he talks about is this slam poet in Berlin, in Kreuzberg, called Tamino.
Emil. Okay.
And get this for a title of one of his pieces. Me, you, us, and capitalism having a threesome with my washing machine.
Wow. Okay, that's a title. Definitely grabs your attention.
Doesn't it just... And Pinkwart paints this picture of the audience like they're expecting irony, maybe some influencers with fragile souls, you know, and people basically using slam to work through their inner demons on stage.
So, pretty demanding crowd, sounds like. They want something edgy, something real maybe, but probably not too real.
Yeah, it's that kind of vibe. And Tamino himself, he doesn't exactly come across as the gentle poet type. Picture this. Black shirt, an intentional coffee stain.
Intentional.
Yeah, like a trademark. Pinkwart compares him to an insurance salesman who kind of carries the dirt with them.
Huh. That's a very specific image.
Yeah.
An insurance salesman.
Right. And the name, Tamino, you know, from Mozart's Magic Flute, the prince.
Yeah, saving the princess, all that.
Well, this Tamino isn't about saving princesses. Pinkwart says his focus is more on abusing the sanity of his audience, so kind of an anti-prince.
Okay, so he's playing with that expectation. The name suggests one thing. The performance is completely different. That contrast itself is interesting. The deliberate roughness, the coffee stain.
Yeah.
It's almost anti-aesthetic.
Totally. But apparently he wasn't always like this. There's a backstory. He used to be Tim.
Tim.
Yeah, Tim. Described as a broken, emotional gummy bear, basically. Writing these super conventional poems after his girlfriend cheated on him with a clarinet player.
Ouch. A clarinet player.
Gets worse. The clarinet player then apparently posted poems about seagulls on Instagram.
You couldn't make this stuff up, could you?
Right. So Tim's early poems were all, you know, heartbreak, melodrama, probably pretty standard stuff.
The kind of thing lots of artists start with, maybe. Processing personal pain. But it sounds like you really cranked up the angst.
Oh, yeah. But then came the turning point. His third performance. A poem about lost love, depression, and his IKEA shelf named Bjorn.
His IKEA shelf.
Okay, and what happens? Standing ovation.
Wow. For the IKEA shelf poem.
Apparently. And that was the moment, Pinkwart suggests, where something clicked for Tim/Tamino. He realized, okay, maybe love's out, but applause. He could get applause.
Ah, the lure of the stage. That validation.
Exactly. He swapped the search for love for the craving for applause, as Pinkwart puts it, until his ego basically filled the whole stage.
Right. That need for external validation can be a powerful driver. So that's the shift.
That's the shift. Tim became Tamino, the executioner with a spotlight. His ego, well, Pinkwart uses a more colorful term. Let's just say his confidence got pressed into every line.
An executioner with a spotlight. That's quite the description.
Want an example of his new style? Opening line for another gig. I am the final orgasm of humanity and you're in the middle of it.
Good grief. Okay, that's bold.
And his delivery, described as being like a philosophical vibrator going through puberty.
Philosophical, I don't even know what that means, but it sounds incredibly provocative.
Yeah.
And maybe a bit exhausting.
You'd think it's aggressive, it's pushing boundaries, clearly trying to shock people into paying attention.
Which can work, of course. But maybe risks being just about the shock value, losing the substance.
Well, right at the peak of this final orgasm performance, someone else enters the picture. Maria.
Okay, who's Maria?
She's described as a poet, a social worker, a vegan, and known for taking down ego-driven slammers.
Ah, the counterpoint.
Exactly. So, mid-Tamino performance, she interrupts, but not loudly. Quietly, she just asks him, do you actually see us, or do you just love the sound of your own voice?
Oof. That's gotta hurt. Right in the middle of his big moment.
Totally. It's the killer question, isn't it? Is this about connection or just ego?
It forces him to confront what he's actually doing up there.
And apparently it completely derailed him. Tamino freezes, starts shaking. His whole carefully crafted text just falls apart like a bloody beginner after harsh criticism, Pinkwart writes.
Wow. So it hit home. Hard.
Yeah. He finished the set, but got no applause, no free drinks, no new Instagram followers, nothing.
The ultimate slam poet nightmare.
And in that moment of, well, total humiliation, he gets it. He realizes he wasn't performing for the audience. He was just, Pinkwart's term again, masturbating with words in front of them.
That's a brutal metaphor, but vivid. It highlights the complete lack of connection despite being on stage.
Yeah.
A painful realization, but maybe a necessary one.
Absolutely. And this is where Pinkwart brings it around to the reader, to you listening. He says this reveals the crucial, often unspoken, damn trick of performance.
Which is?
Talk to the audience, not over them.
Simple as that.
Sounds simple, but he emphasizes it's not that fake, scanning the crowd Instagram gaze. It's about real eye contact. Genuine connection.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's about being present with the people in the room, not just reciting something into the void.
Yeah.
That applies way beyond poetry slams, obviously.
Totally. And Pinkwart gives some pretty direct examples of how to do this. He says, find the skeptical people, the ones with crossed arms, the frown, the person taking critical-looking notes.
Okay, zero in on the toughest critics. Bold move.
And then talk directly to them. Like, you with the look that says, please don't let this be a poem about self-discovery in an organic store. Sorry, but that's exactly what this is.
Ha! That definitely breaks the fourth wall. It acknowledges them directly, pulls them in, even if it's confrontational.
Or this one, which I kind of like. You're off thinking, what the hell is this guy on about? Don't worry, I ask myself the same question every morning while brushing my teeth.
Okay, that uses humor to connect. Self-deprecation, acknowledging the potential absurdity. That could work.
And then there's the really provocative one. If you're wondering whether I'm speaking from your heart, I'm not. I'm speaking from your ovaries, because that's where the real feelings are.
Whoa. Okay, that one's a lot. Definitely designed to provoke a strong reaction, positive or negative. Not for every audience, I'd imagine.
Definitely not. But the point of all these examples, Pinkwart says, is to shock, hook the audience, and take them with you, to make it immediate.
Right, to force engagement rather than allowing passive listening.
And he uses another pretty blunt analogy. A text delivered without eye contact is like sex with the lights off and headphones on.
Wow, okay.
Technically correct, maybe, but emotionally useless.
It gets the point across, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's about the emotional resonance, the human connection that's missing without that direct engagement. Leaves things feeling incomplete, unsatisfying.
Exactly. So then Pinkwart brings up this book, The Poetry Master, which he frames as the thing that could have saved Tamino from his public meltdown.
Ah, the solution.
But he clarifies it's not some gentle guidebook. He calls it a slam arsenal.
A slam arsenal. Okay, sounds intense. What's supposedly in this arsenal?
Well, the list is quite something. How to turn a nice poem into an emotional execution. How to use dark humor to make people cry and clap. How to manipulate, provoke, seduce your audience.
Manipulate, provoke, seduce. Sounds a bit dark arts-ish.
It leers into that provocative persona for sure. It also mentions turning your performance into an experience even your exes won't forget.
Right, aiming for maximum impact, memorable impact.
And then there's the psycho trick of eye contact. 7 words that will shock any audience, and how to land a punchline that makes someone choke on their beer and extend their therapy by a year.
Okay, that last one is definitely hyperbole, I hope. It's all very much about pushing buttons and controlling the room's emotional state.
Seems like it. And of course, there's a call to action. Click the links for the book, available in German and English, apparently. To avoid Tamino's mistakes, performing with the handbrake on or with a metaphorical condom over your tongue.
He really commits to the metaphors, doesn't he? But behind the provocative language, the core message about shedding inhibition and connecting directly seems pretty consistent.
Yeah. And just to wrap up the article itself, Pinkwart adds this little postscript. He admits the text might have been a bit much.
Acknowledges the hyperbole.
Right. And then he jokingly threatens to write an even longer version if people complain about the length.
He sounds like he enjoys stirring things up. Fits the tone of the piece.
Totally.
Yeah.
So after that wild ride, what's the big takeaway for everyone listening?
Well, for me, it boils down to that core idea. Whether you're on a stage, in a meeting, wherever, if you actually want to connect with people, you have to talk to them, not at them or over them. That direct engagement is key.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond just delivering information or performing at people and actually creating some kind of genuine exchange, avoiding that whole emotional masturbation thing Pinkwart describes so vividly.
Right. It's about creating resonance.
Yeah.
Making your communication actually land and mean something to the other person.
So maybe a final thought to chew on. Think about your own interactions. When was the last time you were maybe speaking at someone rather than truly with them?
Mm-hmm. And what small shift, maybe even just more conscious eye contact or directly acknowledging someone's reaction, could make that connection feel more real, more impactful?
Good question. And if you want to explore this whole art of persuasive communication and audience engagement further,
Okay.
especially with that edgy slam poetry flavor,
Then the recommendation from the source is that book, Poetry Master Poesie Craft in 7 Tagen. Remember, that's the German title specifically mentioned.
right, something to check out if you're intrigued.
And with that, I think that's our deep dive for today.
Psychiakiv, Stefan.